Hello, welcome back to the channel. All right, so we had the Trump and Putin meeting. Trump laid out the red carpet for him. He was all smiles, all happy. Um, right as Putin get off the airplane and they're walking back to their vehicles, Trump decided to fly a B-52 bomber or B-2, one of those nuclear bombers with F-35 jets next to it right over Putin's head, which I think is a bit of a sign of aggression. Anyway, so they had a good meeting apparently, and everything was fine, and he thinks he's gonna have a deal. So then now Trump put it into Zelensky's hands. And then yesterday, I think it was yesterday, Trump and Zelensky had a meeting. I was watching it on TV. And then the same thing happened like last time. They were in the Oval Office and they were having a briefing, a media briefing. And then all of a sudden Zelensky says something, and then Trump and JD Vance like jumps on him. You need to be thankful for us. We are the reason that there could be peace for you. We've sent you billions of dollars in arms, and I gave you javelin missiles. You need to, and there's not even a thank you. You're disrespectful. You're not wearing a suit, all this shit. Yeah, exactly what happened last time in the Oval Office. And it sounded like Donald Trump was being pissed off with Zelensky, but the weapons just keeps flowing, and the war just keeps continuing. So Donald Trump just keeps providing with weapons. So I think this is all theater. It's all bullshit, theatrics. They're putting a trap for Putin, like I've said in my previous video. That's what I think. At first I thought maybe Trump is sincere, but I don't think so, because you must also remember the United States blew up the Nord Stream pipeline that connects Russia's natural gas to Europe. And then when the war broke up, Europe also didn't want to buy gas from Russia anymore. So now the United States is providing Europe with natural gas at a very much more expensive price. And it's billions and billions of dollars. And do you think America wants to make a deal in order to lose that business opportunity there, so that the Russians can come back in and have peace and restore that pipeline and supply Europe? Also, the other thing is, do you think the Americans, a couple of weeks ago, Donald Trump announced that he's going to remove himself from the war, but he's going to still sell weapons to NATO, and then NATO can give the weapons to Ukraine, which is basically a money-making scheme. So they're making money on the gas, they're making money on the weapons. The military industrial complex is firing on all cylinders. There's all kinds of money to be made. And there's absolutely no way that Donald Trump's going to make a peace deal here. This is all theater. If Donald Trump wants to end the war, he could have done it a long time ago. All he has to do is say to Ukraine, listen, I'm sorry. We're pulling all of our weapons back. We're not going to give you any more weapons. We're not going to give you any more intelligence. We're going to pull Starlink out. Because without all of those things, then the Ukraine will just collapse. They're already collapsing. The Russians are fucking them up even with all America's support. So it's easy for Donald Trump to end this war. He just says, listen, I'm pulling everything out. And he's not doing that. He didn't do it last time, even when they had that spat in the Oval Office with Zelensky. He's acting like he's hating Zelensky. You guys must remember, not Donald Trump. It was in 2014 under Obama. They went and overthrew the democratically elected president there of Ukraine and installed Zelensky. This is the American puppet, in order for him to cause the shit with Russia, in order for the Americans to do a proxy war with Russia, because they want to take Russia out. Russia is a threat. And not just that, they also want to make money, lots of money, selling weapons. So Zelensky is basically an American puppet. He's a plant. And this is all theater, All Donald Trump has to do, I'm going to repeat myself again, all Donald Trump has to do is tell Zelensky and tell Ukraine, listen, we're out. We don't want anything to do with this anymore. There's no more weapons. There's no more money. There's no more intelligence. There's no more Starlink. Nothing. And boom, the war will be over. But he's not doing that. Why is he not doing that? Because there's way too much money to be made. and he knows very full well how the game is being played, and they are just pulling the wool over our heads. What else is there? What I wanted to say? Oh yeah. So now the European leaders are all of a sudden in the White House yesterday, all meeting together. They're saying that, oh, there needs to be a ceasefire before there's a second meeting, and we're not going to accept land concessions and all of this. So this is exactly like I said in my previous video. It's like, you know, Trump is trying to put this thing together, or he's pretending that he's trying to put this thing together. But Zelensky and the Europeans are going to throw a spanner in the wheel, and then Trump's going to say, oh, you know, I tried, I'm out of this thing. You know, you guys carry on. But meantime, he's going to still provide weapons to sell weapons to NATO in order for NATO to send it to Ukraine. And they're still going to sell all the LNG natural gas to Europe. So the business deals will still be going on. The money will be flowing. But Donald Trump can say, listen, I'm sorry, I've got nothing to do with this. And I can't see how Vladimir Putin doesn't see through this bullshit. He seems to me like he's falling for this hook, line, and sinker. Because he's tweeting, oh, it was a great meeting, we're going to sort something out. And I mean, I even saw Russian tanks. It's got a Russian flag and an American flag on it now after the meeting. So, yeah, I don't think Vladimir Putin is stupid, but, you know, Angela Merkel screwed him over before. Donald Trump screwed him over. Everybody's been screwing him over before, but he just keeps, like, coming back for more, and I don't understand how that works. Look, I wouldn't say I love Vladimir Putin, but I think he's a very good president. I think he's one of the best presidents this world has ever seen. But it seems to me like he's a bit gullible at the moment. Always been for a while. So, yeah, this war is far from over, in my opinion. They want to try and get a ceasefire going so that they can rearm Ukraine, so that they can regroup. I'm not sure if the Russians are going to go for that. Yeah, so we'll see. I don't think this is going to end well. I think this is just going to escalate even further, because you must also remember, you know, NATO is amassing thousands of troops, getting ready. The port of Rotterdam is being redone in order to accommodate big military shipments. Why would they do that? In order for them to just now cause a ceasefire. You know, this is planned years ahead. So they're just putting the wool over our heads and making us look somewhere else, when meantime in the back door they're doing all this shady stuff, you know. Especially there's another issues as well. The United States dollar is collapsing, trade is collapsing, tourism is down unbelievably. The inflation is through the roof because of the tariffs. Because once again, Donald Trump thought that the Chinese are going to pay the tariffs, or the Canadians are going to pay the tariffs. They don't pay the tariffs. I do importing myself for a living, and I pay the tariffs. Yeah. So if you put 20% on me, 100% on me, 500% on me on a product, I pay that tariff, and then I have to now adjust my price to the consumer in order for me to make a profit. And that's exactly what's going on in America. It's not the Chinese who's paying the tariff. It's not the Canadians or the Mexicans or anybody else who's paying the tariff. So, I mean, I saw yesterday electricity is already up 10% since Donald Trump has taken office, and it's only about to get much worse. The auto industry is collapsing. Walmarts are closing everywhere. McDonald's is closing everywhere. Everything is going to shit. And yeah, like Gerald Celente says, if all else fails, you got to take them to war. And yeah, it seems like they are going to take us to war in order to try and save the American empire. Anyway, I hope I'm wrong, but stay updated, and I'll get you on the next video.